I'm facing a bit of a dilemma at the moment. My WIP collection is kind of reaching critical mass again. I have so many like little project baggies dotted around the place. Case in point. And I need to address it. I need to get these projects back down to a slightly more manageable level. In addition to that, I have 3 big or like huge projects in the works. And while I am making progress with those, it is incremental progress. It is very slow. So I really would like to kick those up another gear and get some more work done on them. So I figure in today's video, rather than focusing in on one particular project, we're going to step back and broaden our horizons and take on a whole bunch of them, because yeah, it's getting to be a bit of a problem. So as you saw a minute ago, I've just got so many of these like baggies lying around. I have progress. Oh, that was close. I almost knocked my hook and supply holder off the table. That would have been fun, having to pick up, 600 different stitch markers and pins and all that. I'm just going to move you over here. Okay, so I have like all my project baggies. I have things like this, which is a finished project technically, but I wasn't happy with the outcome of this, so I do want to change things up a bit. Come to think of it, that is probably like a big enough undertaking that I could make it its own separate video. So I might exclude you from the lineup today, but stuff like this, the demon rabbit, all I need to do is like finish off the eyes, just little things like that. And I think if I can, accomplish a few of those, it'll make me feel a lot better. So let's get started. The first thing I want to tackle today, I think, is this project baggie here. My sister, this is going back honestly almost a year at this point. She asked me, to make a project for her out of granny squares. I did make a start, obviously, but then sort of life got in the way and I wasn't able to do any more work on it. But then we happened to be talking about it the other day, and she was like, yeah, that project, don't worry about it anymore. And I was like, you couldn't have mentioned that before I crocheted however many squares are in here, but whatever. Now that I don't need those for that project, I don't really have anything else to do with them. So today, I just want to figure out a way to use them up. I'm going to start off by counting how many squares I actually have, because that might help me figure out what exactly I'm going to turn these into, because I don't want to be really crocheting many more of these squares. If I have to crochet, between 1 to 5 to make a project work, fine. But the goal here today is basically just to get it turned into something else and get it out the way. So counting time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 in that pile. 9. Okay, so I have 3 stacks of 10, and the final is a stack of 9. I'm going to crochet 1 more square to bring me up to a nice solid 40, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do with these. And there is my square. Thankfully, these only take a few minutes to crochet, and I only had to crochet 1 of them. But now that I have a full set of 40, I think I'm just going to go for the obvious and easy answer here, and that is to turn these into a little blanket. My niece won't complain at having more doll blankets to play with, so I'll dig through the scrap bag and find a nice contrasting color, and just slip stitch these squares together. Like, I could sit here and brainstorm other ideas. I could turn this into something else, like, I don't know, maybe a little jacket or something perhaps, but that sort of undermines the entire premise of this video, and that was to get these projects done. Although I do find the idea of turning granny squares into yet another jacket appealing, so I don't know, is that another video idea we can revisit in the future? You know how I said this was the quick and easy option? Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be neither quick nor easy. Vertical lines. I probably shouldn't call them the vertical lines because it depends which orientation I've got the blanket. They could be the horizontal lines, but for my purposes now, we're calling them the vertical lines. So the vertical lines are done. I was going to do the horizontal lines just in the same orange, but I'm thinking I mix things up a little bit and bring in a second colour, or a third colour. Perhaps red. Red could work. I'm going to dub this the Summer Sunset Blanket. And yes, I do still need to weave in all of my ends, but to level with you, I cannot be bothered to do that right now. Plus, I do need to give my hands a bit of a break. They're getting kind of sore. It's just one of those days. So I thought I would give both that and the crochet itself a rest for now and take care of another like mini project I want to get out of the way. And that is just finishing off the demon rabbit's eyes. This thing has been sitting on my desk, staring at me with those blank, lifeless eyes ever since I finished that Labubu video. And I'm sick of it sitting there, taking up space. I'm sick of it looking at me. So I just gotta get it over and done with, bite the bullet and add the eyes. So I'm gonna grab out my roving wool and my felting needle, and I'm gonna do that. I didn't get the pupils the right height, so his eyes look a little bit lopsided, but even so, that is slightly less creepy than it was originally. I don't know, not by much though. They're still bloody creepy, these things, aren't they? But anyway, that is done. I can give that to my oldest niece. The other three that I ended up making in that series, although one was for the written pattern, so the two that I made in the series, they all went to my nephews and my youngest niece. And of course, I can't leave one of my nibblings out, so this one is going to go to my oldest niece, and I will be very glad to be rid of it. Next thing I want to do is put in some work on my dragon skeleton over there. I've done a few bits. I'm probably like, I don't know, a third of the way through. Jasper, give me a sec. The dog wants to be let in. What's wrong? What's wrong? What happened? Why are you sulking? He's gone and sat himself under my desk. Did your sister upset you? Is that what happened? Jasp, why are you sad? What happened? What happened? I don't know. I'm just going to let him sulk it out. What was I saying? I think I was talking about the dragon skeleton, wasn't I? Yeah, I'm about a third of the way through that, but I just need to keep like the ball rolling, the momentum going, and just keep like knocking out these pieces, because I am crocheting like individual bones, which it's not difficult, but there are a lot of them, and I haven't even gotten to the more complicated shapes yet, like the vertebrae, the pelvis, even the rib cage. That's going to be a lot more difficult to make than just some, you know, sticks basically for the rest of the bones. And then on top of that, I got to do the skull as well. But if I can get the easier pieces done in a timely manner, I think that'll make me feel a bit better about the project overall, because it feels so overwhelming. When I look at how bloody big this thing is, and I've looked at it a lot because this has been sitting here for almost a year now, I think. But yeah, it's just very overwhelming, and sometimes that makes me not want to work on it because I sort of freak out a little bit about how much work I need to put into it. But obviously I'm making things worse for myself by not working on it. All right, enough rambling, more crocheting. Jasper, you just keep sulking down there, all right? All right, good talk. I'm looking at this thing, and To me, it seems both too short and too thin to be a proper femur. But like the problem is, I know it matches the size of the skeleton. In fact, it's actually a little bit longer than what I've got, because here's what I've been doing. Because the actual design is too large to fit in this space here and have me like work around it, and because I don't want to keep getting up and down constantly to check the size against the piece, because that's just a pain in the ass when you're someone who's got to use the mobility aids. I've been tracing the pieces that I need to crochet and then just going off like the sheet of paper. So this is the comparison. So it's like roughly the right size, but I look at this and it doesn't give me femur. Like if anything, it could maybe be the tibia, but even that might be a bit short. But again, I'm running into that issue where it matches what I've got on the page. So I think rather than making any adjustments at this point, I will leave this as it is. So I'm just still going to call this the femur. But once I've made all the pieces, I think once the skeleton is, assembled's probably not the right word, because I'm literally just going to stick this down on the canvas, but I think you get the point I'm trying to get across. But once that's all done and all of my pieces are there, I can get a good overview of the whole thing. And at that point, if I need to make any adjustments to the bone pieces, I'll do it then. I suppose though, because it is a skeleton, I could always claim that, some of the bones, they've been broken, they've been lost. It's not a complete skeleton, so that's why some things are a little off. I could very easily create myself a little loophole like that, but hopefully it won't come to that. So we're sticking with this as the femur for now, which means I need to crochet the rest of the leg, tibia, fibula, and all the toes. I got a couple of things accomplished yesterday, probably not as much as I hoped, because that, what did I call it? The summer sunset blanket took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. So yeah, that was a bit of a time eater. But the other projects that I didn't get around to yesterday, I'm going to try and finish off today. Although there might be a couple more in the works over the next couple of days as well. What I want to do right now is put some more work into one of my other ongoing projects, and that is, some of you may recognize, my freeform crochet. Back when I made that trying freeform crochet for the first time video, I did say in it that I want to take these pieces that I'm crocheting and create a cohesive project from them. And that's still my aim, but before I can actually get to that point, I need to crochet the pieces themselves and then put them together. But again, before I do that, I need to crochet them. So we're going to continue on with that endeavor today, right now. I'll put you in there. I've actually got one that I started just the other day. Some of you out there may recognize this one. So I'll continue on with that. All right, so I need to grab my hook, and I'm not going to be making this piece too much larger. I'm sort of trying to keep these to a manageable size because, like I mentioned, I do want to put these pieces that I crochet together to create a larger piece. But I'm going to need some extra wiggle room, I think, at the sides and top and bottom, just so I can round out. Round out is not the right word because I'm not trying to make a rounded piece, but, corral these pieces into the shape, or at least the approximate shape that I want them to be. So I actually haven't crocheted all that much, to be honest, but I did achieve what I set out to do, and that was to square off this piece a little bit, because I've given it a bit of thought, and I do think it'll make this project so much easier if I make my initial pieces square-ish. I think they'll just join together a lot easier, and after they are joined, I can then, like I said before, get the shaping that I want. Which means, rather than start a new piece right now, which is what I was going to do initially, I think I want to go back in and square off some of my first pieces more. So like there was this one, and if I remember correctly, when I crocheted this one, I did say that this piece works for where I want to place it. Yes, that's true, but also I don't know if I want to place it there. I know I'm being kind of vague, but I don't want to give too much away. I'm going to save all that information for like this project's video. Yeah, change my mind about that, and instead I'm going to square it out a little bit. The other two pieces I've got, they're not so bad. Like you can see sort of the square-ish shape emerging. I just need to like flatten out the sides a little bit here. And honestly, this one's probably the best one. I might even leave this one. I don't think it really needs too much more squaring out. Maybe just across the top here and a bit on the side. Like I know because I'm doing like the freeform crochet, I'm not going to get perfectly straight edges. But as long as they're, you know, an approximation of what I need, that's fine. Well, I assume it'll be fine. I haven't actually made the project yet, so maybe it won't be. But yeah, you're okay. I'll leave you for now. But yeah, I want to square out these two a little bit. Maybe I should have taken a like before and after shot so I could show you these pieces before being squared out and after being squared out, but too late now. Anyway, this is what I've got. So you can see, while they're not, you know, perfectly square, they will suit my purposes just fine. I honestly don't know if I should stop here and start putting one of the pieces for my like larger project together, because like I have a suspicion the bits that I've got right now are going to be too much for one piece. And if I can get a sort of general idea of how many and what size of the smaller pieces I need to create the larger pieces, I think that might be more beneficial in the long run, because I don't want to continuously just, you know, crochet freeform crochet pieces and then get to the assembling the larger pieces stage and find that half of them can't be used because they're either the wrong shape, the wrong size, etc., etc. But if I do that, it's going to throw a wrench in my plans for like this portion of the video, because I did intend to keep crocheting a couple more pieces. But I still have plenty more like partially finished projects that I can work on. So I'm going to put you away for now. And it's not like you guys won't see this again, because I will be working on this project's video. But at least I got some stuff done. I'm happy with that. Another thing I thought of that I could probably do with these before I start putting them together is block them. I'm tossing up whether I should block the individual small pieces or join them and then block the larger pieces they create. But I think just given like the nature of the freeform crochet and how if I don't space out my increases or decreases right, some sections of the piece can buckle. Perhaps I'm better off blocking them before joining them. But what I'm going to do for the rest of this section is just crochet some basic granny squares. I need a whole bunch of granny squares for a memorial blanket that I'm making while I'm sort of co-creating with my mum. She's doing knit squares, I'm doing crochet squares, and we're going to use fabric as well. We're going to turn all of that into several blankets, and I've worked out how many crochet squares I will need per blanket, and that is 36. I am about halfway there, so I have half the squares I need for one blanket. So it's going to take me a while to get to the full amount I'll need for 4 blankets, but this is as good an opportunity as any to crochet some more. I did recently use up the last bit of yarn I'd set aside for those crochet squares, so I am going to have to rummage through the stash first, but I will do that and then we'll come back and crochet some squares. Alright, I'm done rummaging through my stash like a little yarn gremlin, and I've grabbed out these yarns, and I'm going to be pairing them together. So I'll pair these two, the 2 reds, and then the blue and white, because we have worked out what size we need all of our squares to be. And I've found that if I double thread 8-ply yarn and pair that with my 5.5mm hook, that gets me to the correct size that I need. Took a bit of trial and error, but I got there in the end. On today's agenda, we are going to be finishing off another project that's been sitting down here in my WIP pile for, well, far too long at this point, and that is a granny hexagon cardigan. This actually started out as part of, or it was going to be part of this series in which I customize granny hexagon cardigans. I've already made 2 videos in the series, and if you'd like to check them out, I'll put the links down in the description. But as I was crocheting this, I thought to myself, you know, I really don't want to customize a black and grey hexi cardi. Just wasn't feeling it, so I kind of set it aside to focus on other things, and it has remained there since. But even though I'm not going to be using it in that customizing granny hexi series, I do want to finish it off. And when I pulled it out of the WIP abyss the other day, my sister saw it and she said if I finished it, or she asked rather, if she could have it, because she just wants something to, as a cover during winter. I mean, it's not a great time to be starting a project like that, seeing as summer is a week-ish away. Although, to be fair, the weather here has been pretty terrible lately. We've had very few nice spring days. I feel like this year we've kind of just skipped spring entirely. I'm hoping the same won't be true for summer, but who knows, my sister might end up needing a cover like this summer. But anyway, you're not here to see me complain about the weather. You're here for the crochet, presumably. So that's what we're going to do. The first thing I want to accomplish with this is to add the side panels so I can finally join this thing together. And to do that, I've pulled out the black yarn I was using for this project. But for the grey, I don't have any 12 ply left, because that was kind of the point of the customizing series. I was crocheting the initial granny hexis out of yarn in my stash. I'm trying not to buy any yarn at all for this series. And so, because I ran out of the 12 ply grey that I was using here, I've instead chosen for the remainder of it to double thread some 8 ply. It's probably going to make the grey yarn slightly bulkier than the black, but this is just going to be an at-home cardi, so I don't think it really matters all that much. I think that was the final row I needed to crochet, but I may have lost count, so just let me check. 2, 4, 6, 8. No, we're good. We're good. So now I can, if I grab you, crochet these 2 sides together. Stage 1 complete. Stage 2 is going to be adding length to the sleeves, and I want to do that next because I really have no desired length or particular length in mind for this hexi cardi. So I figure if I can finish off the sleeves next, then whatever yarn I have left over, that's going to be used to add the length to the bottom, and the finished size will basically be what it will be. Though I do have to be a little bit cautious with the black yarn, because I do want to make sure that I have enough left to add ribbing around both the cuffs and probably a bit to the inside here. But I do have an additional, it's not a full skein, but it's a mostly full skein of this yarn left. So that should do me. We should be right. I say as if I've ever been good at calculating how much yarn I need for a project. See my previous work on my corner to corner blanket for a prime example of that. stage 2 complete, which means we can move on to the third and final stage, well, final stage for this section of the video at least, and that is going to be adding the length to the bottom. I did say I was just going to use up what yarn I had here, so I've got this much of the black left, which should be more than enough, and as I already said, I've got another like mostly full skein of that anyway, but I don't have all that much of the grey left, although I do have a couple of these 8-ply skeins in my regular yarn stash anyway, so that's not too big a deal. So we might be using up what I've got here plus a dash extra of the grey, because while I'm not too concerned with the overall length, I don't want it to be too short either, and I don't think there is enough yarn here to get us more than probably maybe like 4 rounds or rows if we're lucky out of the grey. And yeah, I probably, well, it's not really up to me, is that my sister's going to be having this, but she'll probably want something just a little bit longer than that. Oh, I just realised that I was crocheting with the black yarn when I should have been crocheting with the grey. Fortunately, I've only crocheted this much, so I caught the mistake very early. I never like having to frog my work, but I dislike it even more when it's like an entire round or several rounds that I have to frog as opposed to just a few stitches. Okay, take 2. Hey everyone, I just wanted to pop in and say that unfortunately I wasn't able to finish the video this week. I've been dealing with some pain flares and other health issues. So I just wanted to apologise for that, say we'll be back with the hookup next week, and I will see you in the next one.